Welcome back to the King in Black, right here at Comicstorian. When we last left off, the God of Death had conquered the planet, shielded it from all forces that could stop him, and the Avengers were conquered. It was all up to Venom and his friends to stop this villain. This is the Comicstorian channel where we take your favorite trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read them dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Now, this is the big event happening in Marvel Comics right now, and today we're going to be covering King in Black Issue 4, King in Black Miles Morales, and King in Black Savage Avengers. What's basically happened at this point is the God of the Symbiotes, the God of Death, has invaded Earth and taken over everyone with his symbiotes. They're going off and they're controlling each of the Avengers. He immediately killed off Eddie Brock, who's now stuck in a symbiote purgatory where him and Flash Thompson discovered that Dylan, Eddie's son, has the ability to separate the symbiotes from Null's control. And in this symbiote purgatory, Flash Thompson has gone off and taken control of a lot of those symbiotes, but Null now has Eddie by the throat. The entire world's been conquered. There are symbiote dragons everywhere, which is what most of our tie-ins are. But when we last left off, in the purgatory, Null had Eddie. In the real world, Dylan is currently battling against Null, and that's going to be the first story of today, King in Black number 4. Videos like this are supported by our Patreon, where you too can vote what's happening next here on the Comicstorian channel. Go on over and check out our mini producer tier, where you get to vote on the next videos happening. Either way, let's get into the King in Black issue number 4. Dylan looked around. The hive was all around him, faces of the symbiotes sneering and snarling, and he hears Null's voice telling him not to be afraid. It is time! Null growls, appearing behind Dylan. He floats forward, telling Dylan not to be afraid, that he isn't going to hurt him, but Null isn't the only voice that Dylan hears. Dylan, remain calm. Listen to me. The voice tells him. Null holds out his hand. I will give you the darkness. Together we can end this war. Join me or I will burn your world to the ground. He offers and Dylan reaches out, taking the god's hand. You killed my dad, he snarls as his power begins to burn through Null, and the dark deity screams in pain, the voice telling Dylan to reach out through the hive mind, to free the heroes that are trapped there. Free Cyclops, free Johnny Storm, free Sue Richards, free Thor, free Doctor Strange. All of them are freed within seconds. The voice begins to link the other heroes into her telepathic plan. I'm downloading the battle plan into your head. This might hurt, she warns Doctor Strange, and instantly he nods his head, motioning to Black Cat to give him his staff. There appears to be a rather intense plan forming, and I'm quite tired of sitting on the sidelines. He tells her. Strange slams his staff into the ground, transforming into the god of magic. Null believes himself to be a god. Well, two can play at that game. The voice links all the freed heroes together, coordinating their attacks. Cyclops lets loose with his optic blast. Sue launches an invisible blast at the gathered symbiotes. Strange lashes out with the magic, and the heroes begin to funnel all of the symbiotes into the center of the city. Namor, you're up, the voice orders. It's about time. The King of Atlantis growls, flanked by the other dark heroes of the depths. He slams his trident into the ground, creating a tidal wave, and off in the distance, Spider-Man looks at the combined attack. Guys, did I miss a meeting or something? He asks, the voice now in his head ordering him to get clear of the attack. Water washes over the city and Storm and Thor appear, lightning cracking from the sky, hitting the water and electrocuting all of the symbiotes trapped within. As Null falls in pain, the voice orders Dylan to leave, but the god lashes out quickly, grabbing the boy by the throat. No! You think you can beat me, child? Wound me through the hive! You think you've won, but you have not beaten me, boy, and you are alone. No one is coming! Null growls, but now the voice is in his head. Actually, that's where I come in, she says, and Null turns, demanding to know who has entered his mind. Oh, I don't believe we've been introduced. My name is Jean Grey. Now let's see what makes you bleed, Jean says as her psychic blasts rip apart the symbiotes around them. Null bellows in pain as Jean probes his mind. She sees the beginning. She sees him bending the very darkness to his will, creating the first symbiote. But her eyes widen in shock as she sees that there is nothing that she can do. Nothing the heroes of Earth can do to stop Null, but she sees a hope. There is another, a reaction to Null's darkness. Null is the god of the abyss, but not the darkness itself. Just as Null used the darkness as a weapon, the light rose up to stop him. The light acted as its own symbiote, choosing warriors to face Null. But the light wasn't strong enough, so it created something new, something stronger, a god of light. Jean falls, weakened by her attack, Cyclops running over, cradling his wife. She points up, telling Scott that the god of light is trying to get into Earth, but it can't get through Null's barrier. Around the planet, we see it. We see what has been going on in the cosmos. The god of light is slamming once more into the symbiote shields, but to no avail. And then Jean hears another voice in her head. Jean, don't worry. I am here. The Silver Surfer tells her as he takes the light within himself, pushing through the symbiote orb that covers the Earth. Null bellows in anger as the Surfer surges through the symbiote dragon horde, cutting through to the very center of them. The Surfer then stops as he hears the voice of the god. Oh, I see. You are not here for me. Go. Find your warrior. He tells the god of light. The god of light surges forward, and in his lab, Reed is studying the energy readings. He knows what this is. We've been calling it the wrong name. The Enigma Force solved, he gasps, and suddenly the energy hits the room behind him and Eddie Brock begins to float out of his bed as the power of light encircles him. Eddie's eyes open up wide, streaming energy forth out of his seemingly dead body. Eddie Brock, you have been chosen. The power's cosmic command. Which brings us to King in Black, Savage Avengers number 18. You dare threaten me, Wraith! Conan bellows as he holds the symbiotic sword in his hand. The snow falls around them in the ancient Chimeria, but the hilt of the sword twists to the shape of a creature's head. I am not what I once was, it explains, and the symbiote twists as it speaks to Conan's mind, showing him its history. It fell to the earth long ago and was taken by a merchant who would use the living ooze to draw potential customers in. Eventually, the symbiote was purchased by a sorcerer supreme named Macree Ra. The sorcerer showed the symbiote kindness, wishing to learn its history. It was first bonded to the sorceress cat, becoming a familiar of sorts. Yet this would not last. Macree Ra was killed by Kulan Gath, who had come for his power. The evil wizard attempted to devour the symbiote, as he had done with Macree Ra, but eventually Gath gave up and instead trapped the symbiote. The symbiote was tortured for over 1,000 years until Conan eventually freed it in the City of Sickles. Conan rears back from the images, the symbiote shifting and floating before him in cold winds of Chimeria. I live only to slay Kulan Gath. When it is done, so am I. If you wield me, you will never be harmed. Let us kill the mad wizard together, the symbiote offers him. Conan nods and holds up the sword, the symbiotic weapon bonding with him. We are partners until the deed is done. Meanwhile, back in the present day, Conan pulls himself free of the symbiotic cocoon, and he turns to find Deadpool firing his pistols into the monsters while Nightflyer stands nearby. Oh man, welcome back! Thought you croaked for sure, Nightflyer tells him. Conan turns to the approaching symbiote dragons wielding his new black blade. Back, Wraiths! Let your master plunder what he will. We care not. Our prize is elsewhere. Or stay and face me and die. The dragons hiss before turning and flying away from Conan. Looks like your new sword has some sway over those things. Let's keep moving. I don't think we're clear of Riker's snipers yet. Deadpool tells his companions. And as if on cue, a sniper shot echoes over the darkness-leaden bridge. Potatoes! Deadpool grunts as the round goes through his head. Conan reaches down, picking up the merc and slinging him onto his back. More rounds pepper Deadpool as the group retreats. Conan throws his friend into the back of the police horse as they ride into the darkness. I know a place that is closer than the Flophouse. Follow me, Nightflyer calls. 30 minutes later, the trio sits at the bar with no name. Excuse me, does the horse need to be in here, or can I lead him out back? The bartender asks, but Nightflyer motions to the horse, who's enjoying a bucket of feed. The cops are looking for him, Mitch. He stays where he is, the man says. Conan nods as he takes a drink of his beer, asking Nightflyer about their score. The man turns, speaking to his lawyer boyfriend who had just walked in. The two greet each other and the lawyer hands Nightflyer a small box that the villain had stashed in their freezer. Deadpool begins to pull himself up from the bar, removing his mask, taking a swig of the beer that he finds in front of him. I can feel my horrible body again. How awful. Deadpool gasps. Nightflyer comes over telling the pair that he got what they needed to make a quick and quiet entrance to their score. A short time later, the trio stand outside a building while the city is covered in symbiotic goo around them. Nightflyer motions to the building. My old man did some legal work for them back in the day, but the owners abandoned this place and now they live in the South Pacific, he tells them, and Deadpool looks up shocked at what he sees. Wait, this is the place you want to rob? The Hellfire Club? He shouts, and Conan looks over the gate, questioning whether the Hellfire Club was rich. Oh, disgustingly rich! But some of them shoot lasers out of their eyes! Others shoot stuff out of other places! Whose thumb is that? Deadpool questions as Nightflyer pulls a thumb out of the box he was given and places it on the DNA pad. Don't worry about it. I didn't think you'd be this much of a whiner. Nightflyer notes as the door chimes and unlocks. The doors open up and the trio step inside. Gentlemen, welcome to the Hellfire Club. Nightflyer whispers. It's not the same without the mutants kissing each other and the servants from Eyes Wide Shut. Deadpool sighs and the trio moves through the darkness, quickly finding the bags of cash that Nightflyer said would be there. God, you can smell the cash through those bags. Deadpool gasps at all the money, with Conan looking at the bags, disgust on his face. I despise your flimsy paper. Coin ought to be metal, he says, and he turns as the three mutants suddenly come through the Krakoan gate. Did we take the wrong gate? Callisto asks Iceman. No, we're in the right place. More than I could say for them, Bobby tells her. Bishop pulls out his pistol. You should know better than to break into here, Deadpool. Deadpool draws his own blade as Callisto pulls out her daggers. We can do that dance. I'll have my steel and your swords that Ant-Man shrunk, he tells her. Shush! Callisto snaps as she slashes Deadpool across the throat. Conan grabs his friend as he begins to drop, but Bishop aims his pistol, telling them to leave. We will not be threatened! Conan snarls as he turns, throwing Deadpool's body at the trio of mutants. Iceman turns, freezing Nightflyer in place, the villain throwing a grenade, temporarily stunning the trio. But Deadpool stumbles back to his feet, starting a fight with Bishop, managing to throw him back through the gate. Deadpool then turns, but Callisto's dagger has stabbed him in the back of the head. I wish you were a mutant, so you could go to the hole, she snaps. But Conan is there, punching her hard in the jaw. Bobby turns, hitting the Chimerian with a blast of ice. Feel what you're up against, moron, Bobby yells, and Conan continues forth through the icy blast. Feels like home. It warms my heart in this weak and pathetic world that there are still warriors that descended from Ymir. Conan snarls as the symbiote begins to form around his arm. Now tell the frost giant that I'll see him in hell! Conan bellows as he swings the symbiote weapon, shattering Iceman through the stomach. Next up, we have King in Black, the Miles tie-in. Now, this storyline picks up where our last one left off. Prowler has died, the Ultimate Universe has been revealed, but now the world is being controlled by symbiotes. Here we go. King in Black, Miles. Miles and Genki look up, shocked to see the black dragon flying past them, disappearing behind some buildings. Miles begins to question the sight of the dragon, but stops himself. You know what? It doesn't matter. We just had the school rebuilt and I need to stop this thing. Can you find any stragglers and help them get to safety? Miles asks his friend. Genki nods as the two of them bump fists, and in minutes, Miles is swinging through the air as Spider-Man, quickly catching up to the huge beast who is attacking a school bus. Hey there, dragon! No people in there! Everyone's been evacuated! He shouts, but the monster turns, swinging his tail, destroying one of the nearby buildings. Miles manages to avoid the attack, landing on the ground, shooting his webs over the monster's eyes. But he screams as the dragon leaps into the air, quickly taking flight. He manages to flip and land on the creature's back, intending to steer it, but suddenly the black goo of the symbiotes begin to swirl around his legs. You're a symbiote! Miles shouts in surprise, realizing that the creature has been taken over by Null. Don't worry, I can drive you out. I've done it before. This is gonna hurt. Sorry. Miles tells the dragon as he leans forward, hitting it with a venom strike, exploding the symbiote from the large creature. Null can't control you anymore. Miles tells the creature as he catches his breath on the ground. He pats the dragon on the head, because for some reason, it's a real dragon, and not just one of the symbiote ones that have been flying around. Suddenly, his phone begins to buzz, and he glances down to see a text from Miss Marvel, telling him that she needs to help at the Lower East Side. Hey, I don't suppose you could give me a lift across the river? Miles asks the real, actual dragon. Flying across the river, Miles points to the fires of destruction on the Lower East Side. The dragon sets down on a roof, and Miles suggests that the beast find somewhere safe to hide. With a nod, the creature flies away, and Miles turns to the task at hand. But his spidey sense suddenly kicks in, and he turns just in time to be hit by a flying motorcycle. He looks up at the massive hand slamming it to the ground on either side of him, and smiling down at him, is a symbiote-bonded Miss Marvel. Ah, there you are. She snarls, taking a swing with her massive fist, barely missing Miles as he moves to avoid it. He backflips, avoiding another power slam from her, but he can't dodge the next attack, which slashes him across the shoulder. I guess you can't hear me in there. That thing's got control of your mind. Miles yells as he swings and flips, avoiding more of her attacks. Kamala continues to taunt him, but Miles looks at her. You're my friend, and I'm going to get you out of there, he yells to her. Shooting webs at her, she shifts and morphs so that the webbing goes right through her. You need to learn, little spider, that you don't matter, she hisses, reaching out, grabbing Miles in her massive, elongated hand. Please, I know you can hear me, Miles shouts as he charges up his Venom Strike, hitting her with it. Didn't want to have to do this. He shouts and Kamala twists, screaming in pain as the Venom Strike lashes through her body. The symbiote begins to come off, but it isn't enough as it twists and reforms around her. You can fight this! You're as strong as they come! You're Miss Marvel, damn it! Miles shouts at her, continuing to hit her with the Venom Strikes. Kamala looks up, shocked to see her friend. Miles, get this thing off me! She shouts, and he leans in, telling her, I don't want to hurt you. But the symbiote begins to control her once more, even as Kamala begins to fight it. I'm sorry, Kamala, Miles whispers as he hits her with everything that he's got. The Venom Strike erupts around them, knocking the cars aside, shattering windows. Kamala struggles to her feet as the smoke clears. I feel like I get hit by a truck. She gasps, and she stands up smiling. At least that thing is out of my head. I'm free, she cheers, and she turns to thank Miles, but yells in shock as she sees her friend on the ground. Spider-Man lays unconscious, still smoking, his costume torn from the impact, and Kamala picks her friend up, cradling him in her arms as she turns to see the other symbiote dragons approaching. Don't worry, I've got you, she whispers. And that is this week's King in Black Roundup. King in Black issue 4 is one away from the finale. I believe the series is either 5 or 6 issues long. I'm not quite sure, but it will be wrapping up relatively soon. Make sure you check back next Saturday for more of the King in Black saga. Main storylines, important storylines, and goofy tie-ins. We're covering it all right here at the Comicstorian channel. And if you want to have a vote as to what is happening next on the channel, which currently is being decided between Scarlet Witch, Winter Soldier, and Batman Inc., come on over to our Patreon and join our mini producer tier. At that tier, you get to join the conversation weekly by joining the vote on Patreon and the discussion on Discord. We hope to see you over there, and if you're not interested in that, at least thank you so much for watching this video. Just sticking around to the end and enjoying this really does mean a lot to me. And all of you guys who are enjoying the video, seriously, thank you. Anyway, guys, I'll see you next time right here.